Hi, welcome to Spiritual Connection. I'm your host, Katie Augustyn. So I'm a transformation coach, I'm an energy healer, and I'm a shamanic practitioner. I'm also the spiritual leader of the Transformation Center CT, which is based in Westport, Connecticut. And at the center, we do a variety of things. We do some workshops, we do trainings, and also once a month we have satsang, which is Sanskrit for in the company of the truth. And it's a really nice evening where we do some meditation, some chanting, and it's an opportunity to just decompress from your day or your week and just spend time with yourself and honor yourself and let go of whatever you need to let go of. So we hope you'll join us for those. They're usually the fourth Wednesday of each month, and you can check that out on the Transformation Center CT website. Yeah, so the Spiritual Connection show is all about connection. It's about connecting with each other as well as connecting more fully with our own spiritual selves. And as you know, we have a different guest each week, and through what they have to share about their life and what they're up to, you can learn more about your needs and your spiritual journey. So thank you for joining us tonight. And I want to introduce my guest tonight, and that's Catherine Avery.
Hi, thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Catherine. I'm happy to have you. And I want to say a little bit about Catherine before we get started, just so the audience can get to know you a little bit. So Catherine has a company called Productivity by Design, which I love that title. It just speaks to me. I don't know, for most of my life, I've been a lot about productivity. So I think that's really cool. So what she does, she empowers busy professionals to conquer their daily tasks, paperwork, and increase their productivity. She's a former queen of clutter. I love that. I think I'm still a queen of clutter. She implements proven strategies that get you on a more productive and profitable track. Sounds cool. And she combines her design sense with streamlined systems and business acumen, and she helps her clients master their time, space, and information. Sounds awesome. Well, I do want to learn all about that, and we will in a few minutes. We'll hear more about that. But first, I'm really interested in how you got started. What was your spiritual journey like? Anything you want to share?
Well, like all small children, I was completely attuned to the universe. I was very into nature and the earth, and I was sure that I could hear the rocks and the trees speak to me. And I think somewhere as you grow up, you lose that sense of wonder, and it kind of got lost in the more standardized teachings of religion. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm still a believer. I still attend a Episcopal church. I haven't been recently. I've been on a bit of a different spiritual journey in the short run. And over time, as I went through many things in my life, I kept drifting back in and out with the church. And when I was diagnosed on September 11th, 2015 with cancer, breast cancer, early stage 1, triple positive. And for some people who don't know, early stage 1 is a good thing. It means it's easy to deal with. And triple positive means that you are positive for progesterone, estrogen, and HER2, which are the 3 factors that can be involved in breast cancer. And that's actually kind of a win from the standpoint that the doctors know exactly how to treat it. They know where the cancer came from. If you're triple negative, they don't necessarily know exactly what to do. The downside, of course, was knowing that I would have to go for chemo and Herceptin treatments, which I kind of hoped I would get away with a lumpectomy and radiation and be done. But at any rate, when I got that phone call, I'll never forget, the only word I heard was carcinoma. And I heard nothing else, and my brain just shut down. And I had to say to the radiation consultant who had called me, I think that's what they're called, radiology consultant, I had to say, you have to stop for a minute and start over, but first I need a pad and a piece and a pen, because I cannot remember anything you said. And I think he was sort of surprised, but I thought, don't most people have the reaction of just shutting down when they hear this? Because the first thought was, oh my gosh, I have cancer. And the second thought was, I'm going to die, which isn't really the truth anymore with cancer, fortunately. And I'll actually talk a bit about survivorship after we talk about spiritual connection. So I already had this very deep relationship, a personal relationship with what I call God, other people may call source or universal energy. And I knew in that moment that there were lessons I was meant to learn, that cancer would be a gift, and I needed to see the gift in cancer.
Wow.
So it was a very intense revelation, and I quickly started journaling the lessons as I was going through the cancer journey to learn more about who I was and how I would change and what would evolve out of having a very traumatic event occur in my life.
Yeah, wow. That's amazing that you were able so quickly to shift how you were looking at it from, very serious, scary stuff to how can I learn from this? Can you share any, top of mind, a couple of things that you learned? Or?
Absolutely. So I really have 3 key lessons I feel I learned right away, or maybe one was right away, which was gratitude. I was told I needed to exercise, and I was not someone who would exercise. I had been and fallen off the wagon of exercise, and I knew I was going to have to exercise again. And I already had a sort of miracle morning situation in place. I don't know if you've heard of Hal Elrod, but he's created a miracle morning. So I already was journaling gratitudes in the morning. And here I was being told I had to exercise, and as many busy professional women who have children, or even busy professional men who have children, I won't leave the men out, it's hard to put more stuff into your day. So I said, how can I incorporate exercise with gratitude? And I came up with this idea that I could do gratitude walks each morning. So no matter the weather, no matter that I had no hair, I'd put my little cap on and I would put on all my heavy duty clothes. It could be raining and cold. And I would go out and walk a couple of mile circuit around my neighborhood and say my gratitudes while I was walking. I'm sure people thought, why is she talking to herself? But I was talking to God.
Right.
And I was saying how much I appreciated the outdoor world, whatever it was. It was so easy to find gratitude in that moment because it was all about getting into the body and out of my brain. And I'm a thinking person. So I would say things like, I love that I see the trees this morning. I'm grateful that it rains because then the gardens will bloom in the spring. And things like this. And it was really transformative. It started my day in such a way that, 1, I wasn't resentful about exercising, which was huge, right?
Yeah,
and 2, if you start your morning in an attitude of gratitude, it's just going to flow better your entire day.
I love that.
That was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Over time, I realized I was going to have to learn how to ask for help. And
that's a big one,
we
right?
gals
For a lot of
can
us.
be givers, right?
Yeah.
So I had to learn how to receive. And that was something that was so different for me because I'm so used to, oh, you gave me something, I'll give you something back.
Yeah, like immediately, right? Yeah.
You took me for coffee, now I'll take you for coffee. And that wasn't going to be realistic. There were going to be people who came out of the woodwork, amazing, gracious human beings. 2 gals from our school, my daughter was in 5th grade when this all happened. 2 gals from our school who I didn't know that well, who said, we'd like to start a meal train for you. And I pulled my jaw off the ground and said, I would love that. And that meant that 3 days a week we had meals brought to our house.
That's awesome.
Beautiful meals. Maybe not the things I normally would have cooked, which was kind of fun,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And there was always enough that we could really get through the 5 days of the week without needing any other foods. On Sundays, I had enough energy that I could cook something. So we always had enough food going that I didn't have to worry about that anymore.
Wonderful.
I do wish there had been a laundry fairy. I wish I had
a laundry train too,
to
right?
ask someone to come do the laundry. But at the time we had a front loader, and I remember very clearly sitting on the floor and pulling the laundry out of the washing machine and putting it in the dryer because you really don't have a lot of energy.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And then I'd lay out the towel and I'd fold the clothes on the towel on the floor, right?
Yeah,
Because I was sitting down. So, but it was great. We have friends in common, many of whom drove me to and from chemo. And they didn't live around the corner.
Yeah.
People really step up, and it's such a gift And learning how to receive is really,
Yeah.
really hard. But
Yeah.
I believe that's a huge part of spirituality.
Well, totally. And I also believe that allowing people to give is also giving them a gift, because, all people really want to do is contribute and make a difference. And a lot of times they don't have so many opportunities. So something like this, where a friend or even acquaintance, it sounds like in this case, is in need, it really brings out the best in us, I think.
It was amazing. I remember how careful I was about who I chose to go with me, because it's a vulnerable process.
Yeah.
There are times when you're just going to fall asleep. They give you Benadryl and you're out cold. And having people understand that I'm going to be asleep for 20 minutes, bring a book, bring some knitting,
Yeah,
take a walk,
absolutely.
get on your phone, whatever, that I didn't have to worry. And I'll never forget Beth, our mutual friend, Beth Lees. She came with me, and we laughed so much they had to put us in a private room.
I can totally see that.
I don't know, she's so much fun.
Beth,
She has this
yeah.
infectious laugh.
Yeah.
So it was great. I loved that she came and supported me.
Yeah.
And there's so many stories I could tell like that, but we'd need 3 days
Yeah.
to do all those
Maybe
stories.
the next episode we'll talk about that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, they're having a special stories event with TLC coming up. People are going to be telling their stories. So
Yes.
I can't remember when it is.
Friday, August 2nd, I think?
Yeah.
Is my memory any good?
Something like that. Yeah. So that's a great opportunity, because I think through hearing other people's stories, we really learn a lot about ourselves too.
No
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. And of course, telling your story is therapeutic, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's great. So those 2 lessons already
Right.
you learned.
It was amazing. The
Yeah.
other great story was we had talked for years about building a house at the beach in Fenwick Island, Delaware, which we call our happy place.
Uh-huh.
And I had put it off, really out of fear. And when I was going through cancer, I said, we're going to figure this out. There must be a way. I'm not waiting for dreams anymore.
Oh,
So I called that
wow.
No More Waiting for
Yeah,
Dreams.
I love that.
And I said, maybe we could rent the house.
Ah.
So during the peak season, rent it out so that other people can also come to love our happy place. And that has been magical. We built the house.
So you did. You built it?
We did. We did the certificate of occupancy in March of 2018, which meant we could move in, for someone who doesn't know what a CO is. And that's my design. We're all talking there. And we immediately started renting it out. We're completely sold out this season with wonderful people. We love hearing the stories
Yeah.
about how families are enjoying it. There was a family with very young children, and they'd rented because we're on the bay side, and the bay side is 2 blocks from the beach. And we have a mini beach off the bay, which was my dad's brilliant idea, just brilliant, to enhance the beach and make it even better. And tons of beach toys and things back there. And there was a family with tiny little kids, and they spent the entire time there.
Wow.
They never even went over to the big beach because the waves are too big
Because the
for little
ocean
kids.
waves.
Right?
Yeah, that's a perfect scenario
And it just
for
was
families.
wonderful. I just
Yeah.
love hearing those stories about other people making it their happy place as well. So we use it, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
We take a week, 2 weeks in the summer at different times. We've tried 2 weeks in a row, and it's hard to get away with business. But a week at different junctures of the summer. And then I go quite a bit in the off season. And I'm actually starting to think about, how do we have retreats there?
Oh, I like the way you
Off-season
think.
retreats,
Yeah, that
like
would be
October
great.
is
Yes,
still
I'm
very
sure it's
nice in
beautiful.
Delaware.
Yeah.
And I think about how people could kayak and paddle and really have spiritual space, sit on the mini beach and do yoga. There's so many opportunities with it. Look at how the dream has expanded.
Right.
Just by
Right.
saying, I'm open and willing to consider having people rent to cover the costs of running the house.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing thing.
That's great. So you created that, because you
Yes.
saw that it was possible, and you didn't want to wait.
Right.
And what do you call it? Don't wait for your dream?
No more waiting for dreams.
No more waiting for dreams.
And I also say that I made it. And it's a fun thing to think about, because I made a vision and made it come to fruition.
Yes.
But I also was the designer on the house.
Oh,
So I
wow.
did the architectural plans and chose every finish in the house. And obviously my husband and daughter had some things they wanted to say. There's a secret room.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, my daughter wanted a secret room. Try to design a secret room. It was very entertaining.
Oh, wow.
But it was a challenge, and it was so interesting to do something so different and out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And I'd never built a house before. I didn't know. I was not there with a hammer. Okay, let's
Right.
be real. But I was there a couple of times with builders,
Supervising.
rethinking how things were going to
Oh,
be
I
done,
see.
literally on the spot.
Oh.
A great example was the back porch. The ceilings are at about 9 feet, but in the upstairs area, it's an upside down house, so the bedrooms are downstairs. And the living room has this beautiful view of the bay. And I was looking at the deck, and as I was looking, it still had the sloped up ceiling, which was wonderful, a cathedral ceiling.
Yeah.
And we were planning on making it flat at 9 feet and just putting it flat and straight so that we could put up these ceiling fans. And you have to take into consideration the winds. And so you don't want drop down ceiling fans because they can break. Right? So I'm trying to figure out with one of the builders, how do we raise the ceiling so we still get the cathedral sense while still having a flat portion for the ceiling
for the
fans?
fan,
And so you see I use my hands a lot. There we are with measuring tapes in hands, designing this thing. And then I said, do you need me to draw this? And he said, no, I've got this. And I was like, oh boy, let's see what we get.
Yeah.
It is magical.
Oh my
it's
goodness.
so great.
That's awesome.
It's just one of those little gifts that just,
Yeah.
it's a little slice of heaven.
Yeah, that's so
I love it so
exciting.
much.
Yeah, so you did that while you were recovering from your
Yes,
being treated.
and it's interesting. It does take quite a bit of time to recover. I was very surprised how long I was very tired. But it was a great, almost like a rebirth, doing that house.
I can see that. I can see that because you put a lot of yourself into that, a lot of your spirit, a lot of your energy, a lot of your vision. Yeah, no, that's wonderful.
And I believe that our things, whatever they are, sofas, a house, it's infused with energy.
Yeah.
I had a minister tell me one time that when I cook soup, he can tell it's made with love.
Oh.
And it's so true.
Yeah.
If we come to cooking with the spirit
Right.
of, I'm making this as a gift for someone else,
Yeah.
it's going to be infused with that feeling and that energy. And so when I'm working with clients, I'll often say, your clutter's weighing you down. If you can reduce your clutter and clear up and make some white space, think about that on a desk,
Yeah, yeah.
then you have room to be more creative and to think more openly and be less distracted.
Yeah, that's a really good point because if you have all this clutter, then there's no space for what you really want to create or to do or to even to think about.
Right.
In that sense. So how do you help your client? How does that work? What is your business like?
Well, first I meet with people and I find out where they're at right now. Who are you? What are your challenges? What are your strengths? And the first thing I really tell people is I'm a judgment-free zone. Remember, I'm the former queen of clutter, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to tell you now, even people who are former queens of clutter, things still build up occasionally.
Yes.
Because life gets in the way. A child gets sick, which just happened to us. Our daughter was sick for 2 weeks. There was no keeping the office super neat and tidy.
Right.
But having learned systems, I now can do it very quickly because I have the tools. So I sit down and I assess, where are people at? What are their goals? What are their dreams? What are their visions? Where do they want to go next in their business? And I can do this either at a corporate level with, say, a division of 10 to 20 people, or I can do it individually. And there are tools I have. I studied under Barbara Hemphill with Productive Environment Institute. And one of the reasons I chose to study with them, so first of all, I already have my interior design certification. So I have all my degrees. So when I went back for interior design, I said, I don't want to be in school forever. I have an MBA. I don't need another degree.
Same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So I did a 45 credit certificate in interior design with Fairfield U, which was phenomenal. Really great training. And then went on to work, et cetera. And then when I realized, as I was going through, really didn't talk about this yet, I went through chemo brain. So here I was, already with executive functioning disorder, which most people would know ADD under the umbrella of executive functioning disorder. Executive functioning disorder is simply you have trouble with certain processes and putting systems in place. So I had discovered that my daughter had this and that I also do. And I find out as an adult.
Yeah,
And it's interesting to see like things I had done to already coping mechanisms, calendars.
Right.
I even put things like when I'm supposed to pay bills on the calendar,
Yeah.
so that I wouldn't lose things in the cracks.
Yeah.
And so I kept saying to myself, there must be somebody out there who teaches this already. So rather than me reinventing the wheel and coming up with my own system, who's out there? And I did a lot of research. And I stumbled across Barbara Hemphill.
Okay.
And she's formerly known as the paper tiger, amazing lady. And I went to study under the group Productive Environment Institute. And what I love is they're a very spiritually based group. Everything is infused with the knowledge that we uplift people by helping them with the energy in their space, by creating a productive environment. And I love it. It's been a great addition to being a designer, as I only work with offices. I don't work with residential. I work with home offices, but I don't design bathrooms and kitchens for homeowners. I know how, I can. It's just that my love and my passion and where my gifts are is in this combination of all those years I spent in corporate America and understanding the problems they deal with, combining it with my design background and now this productive environment specialty. It all merges together in this sort of beautiful flow.
It's perfect for you.
So much fun. I love it so much. It's really a great thing. I didn't really realize how much I had missed working in business once I became an entrepreneur. So now I get to do that, but then I also get to leave and go back to my own little office, my little introverted self, where I have my sanctuary, because I really have made my home office a sanctuary. I even have a Chinese altar table in there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's just a little piece of Zen.
Yeah, that's great to
In my home
combine
office.
those two.
Well, I thought it was very important, and I still do, that if you're going through something traumatic in your life, and I really want to emphasize, it doesn't have to be cancer. It could be a family member is quite ill and you're a constant caregiver for them. It could be that you're raising little people and children who need you all the time.
Which can be
And
stressful.
you need a place in your home or even in your office is a little bit of a sanctuary that it feeds your soul. Let's just bottom line it feeds your soul. And I really felt that when I was going through this whole process. And so the first step is getting rid of the clutter. And then the second step is looking at what you're going to keep, what really makes you feel wonderful in your space. So if someone who's no longer your client gave you a pen and every time you look at it you think, oh, I couldn't stand that client. Oh, goodness gracious, give that pen to somebody else. It holds negative energy, right? And it's not to be mean or whatever, but for you and your association.
Right, it's just not serving
It's
you.
not serving you,
So why
right.
would you want to hang on to it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but people come with a lot of stuff around things. There's a lot of mindset behind organizing your space and creating a sanctuary. And so it's not simply that I go in and give you a design and say, here you go, do this.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hand-holding and making sure people feel very safe. And sometimes they take a baby step and then they need a couple weeks off and then they take another baby step. And so how did you learn to walk? The exact same way.
Yeah.
No?
Right, because this is stuff we've gotten, we've held on to for quite a long time in some cases. You know, like in my case, it could be some furniture or some little object that belonged to my grandmother or my father or somebody, and it means something to me, or it has meant something. And then I'm like, well, you know what? I can let go of that now. And it's a process.
Absolutely.
But you really have to be very deliberate about it.
Absolutely.
And I think having somebody to help is really a gift.
I think it really requires a gentleness and a graciousness and an ability to honor a person where they are in their journey.
Yeah,
And
right.
there's a lot to that.
Yeah, yeah. So you clearly spend time getting to know your client and who they are. Yeah, I know I'm sure they appreciate that. I mean, it really comes across, you know, in your passion and who you are. So I'm sure anybody would be very fortunate to work with you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, I may have to get you over to my office.
Oh, I'd love that. That'd be so much fun. Can we
Yeah.
film there? That'd be even more fun.
Oh, that's an idea.
On camera
Yeah.
segment about how you do this.
Let's think about that.
That would be fun. I'd enjoy
Wow.
that tremendously.
Okay, let's brainstorm about that.
Okay.
After the show. That's awesome. Yeah. So, what else is there that you would like people to know about you, or your journey, or anything that they could benefit from before we wrap up?
Well, one of the things I had mentioned to you yesterday was this idea that one of my dreams, and this is not original to me, it's a gal named Donna Cravata came up with this idea, and it was probably 3 years ago, and I'm still not sure how I'm going to make it happen, but it's there, and it's just this dream, and that is to partner with a company who has an employee who's just starting on a cancer journey and may need to now work from a home office, and creating a sanctuary for that person so that they would have a place to work from home that would support them while they're going through it. But I think the key is that partnership piece. I'm sort of out there waiting to find the right company that will be enthusiastic about doing this.
So, a company who has an employee that needs to work from home.
Right.
So it could be any type of company.
I don't think it would matter much. I tend to mostly focus with either lawyers or financial executives. That tends to be my sweet spot. Bookkeepers, admin, consultant is more my area. I don't believe I've really done any work with any product manufacturing companies, although I have to say one of the most interesting companies locally is Bigelow. And I just love their mission and the way they run their company, and I've thought about how do I approach them. No pressure if they're watching.
Yeah, right.
But to feel any pressure.
Right.
But you know, as I dream and envision it, it's a company that has that kind of vibe
That
for their
culture,
employees.
yes.
That, what is it? Consciousness.
Yes.
Is that the word I'm looking for?
I think so.
Where they're
Yeah.
concerned about their employees' well-being.
So consciousness culture that
Right.
would speak to them and fill a need for them as well. Because when you have a partner, you need to fill a need that they have, as
absolutely.
as well as the employee. You know.
So I think what happens is we're seeing a trend, and it's been quite a while, where more and more people are working from a home office. And unfortunately, what sometimes happens is they don't know that they need a space to work. And so what they do is they sit on their sofa with their laptop in their laps.
Yes,
And
it's not
next thing you know,
conducive.
they're at the chiropractor and they don't understand why they have neck and back problems.
Yeah.
And so
We're going to have to wrap up.
Okay.
But I'm sorry to interrupt, but this was so cool having you on the show. I really learned so much from you, Catherine.
Thank you so
very
much.
And thanks to our audience for being here tonight. I hope you learned as much as I did. Look forward to seeing you on the next Spiritual Connection. Blessings and good night. Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.